Hi, in this session we'll deal with matchings and coverings in graphs. Okay, so what do we mean by matchings? Both the matchings and coverings are actually a collection of edges with some special property. Okay, so first we'll start with matchings. Okay, so matchings is basically used in assignment problems. Okay, for example, suppose you have four people are there. Okay, and suppose there are maybe some six jobs are there. Okay, you need to assign this four people to maybe six jobs or something like that. So you have to assign a person to first job, another person to second job, another person to third job, like that. So in such type of situations the matching problem will come. Okay, the famous matching problem is basically related to Hall's marriage problem. Okay, so Hall's marriage problem, in that marriage problem basically the thing was that there were some boys were there and also some girls were there. Okay, so you need to find a match between them. Okay, so in that problem matching will come. So when they have to assign something to something else, so in those type of situations matching problems will come. Okay, so for example, look at this example here. Okay, so here you have four girls are there. Suppose G1, G2, G3, G4 are there. Okay, and they would like to marry a boy who they know already. Okay, suppose G1 knows the boys B1, B4 and B5, and G2 knows only B1, G3 knows B2, B3 and B4, like that. So you need to, this girl need to marry a boy who they know already, who's already their acquaintance. So how will you assign like that? How will you make a match between them? So such type of problems is called matching problems. Okay, so actually you can represent this matching problem by means of a bipartite graph. Okay, you can take the girls as the vertices in a set V1 and boys as the vertices in a set V2. So you will have, and you can assign. For example, suppose G1 is being married to B1, you can draw it like this. If G2 is being married to B, you can draw it like this. So basically you can draw this assignment problem or matching problem in terms of graph. Okay, so here is a graph here of this problem where I have drawn edges between pairs who know each other. Okay, for example, G1 knows here B1, G1 knows B1, G1 knows B4 and G1 knows B5. So like that we have made. Okay, so out of this you have to select a matching of them. Okay, how will you select? Suppose I am going to select G2 is going to marry B1, so I'll select this edge here. Okay, and suppose G1 is going to marry B4, I'll select this here. Suppose G3 is going to marry B2, I'll select here. And suppose G4 is going to marry somebody else. Okay, so G4 I can't assign it here, but maybe I'll take these three edges. So I have taken three edges now. I have taken three matches now, that is this edge between G2 and B1, this edge between G3 and B2, and this edge between G1 and B4. So I have taken three edges here. And what is the property of these edges? You can see that none of the edges are adjacent. They cannot be adjacent because why is it so? If they are adjacent, they should have a common vertex. That means this G, suppose suppose this edge, this edge, and if I'm taking this edge and this edge, what will happen is that it means G1 is marrying B1 and G1 is marrying B4, which is not possible because of the scenario. Okay, so the property of matching edges is that none of the edges would be adjacent, so that a person won't be getting two assignments. Okay, so the property of a set of edges in a graph in which none of them are adjacent is called a matching. Okay, so that is the idea of matching. Okay, so the matching property is that none of the edges are adjacent. Okay, so matching in a graph is a subset of edges in which no two edges are adjacent. So application of matching properties, these type of assignment problems. Okay, so basically matching is a collection of edges, very simple, it's as simple as that. Okay, it's a collection of edges which are not adjacent. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Okay, now so obviously we'll discuss some remarks here. A single edge in a graph is obviously matching. Okay, now there's nothing to discuss because there is only one edge, so no adjacency issues are there. Okay, a maximal matching is a matching to which no edge in the graph can be added. Okay, so maximal matching is a matching in which no more edge can be added. Means if you add another edge, definitely there will be some adjacency coming. For example, a graph can have many maximal matchings. So I have drawn two maximal matchings here. Okay, by heavy dashed lines. If you look at this graph, this is my matching, and if I look at this graph, this is my matching graph. Okay, you can just verify. Okay, so already this edge has been selected as a matching. Then I cannot add this edge because then there would be an adjacency here. I can't add this edge, then there will be an adjacency. Similarly, I can't add this one or this one. Okay, so that is a maximal matching because no more edge could be added to the matching. Okay, so it consists of just this. So the matching consists of just this edge E. Okay, and similarly, suppose this is A, B, C, D. Another maximal edge is actually A, C. Okay, so if you take these two edges, it will be maximal matching. Okay, because you can't add this one again, you can't add this one again, you can't add this one again. Okay, so this is a maximal matching. So a maximal matching is a matching to which no more edges can be added. Okay, so as we can see that a graph can have many maximal matchings. Okay, so a graph can have many maximal matchings. Out of them, the largest ones will be called the largest maximal matchings. Okay, so we can say that this maximal matching has just one edge. This maximal matching has two edges. So the matching having the largest number of edges is called the largest maximal matching. Okay, I hope these names are self-explanatory. Okay, so this is the largest maximal matching, and the number of edges in the largest maximal matching will be called matching number. Okay, so I hope you understand what is a matching. Matching is basically a collection of edges in which none of them are adjacent. And what is a maximal matching? In a maximal matching, you can't add an extra edge again because then the adjacency would be violated. Okay. Again, what is the largest maximal matching? There can be many maximal matchings for a given graph. Out of them, the matching having the largest number of edges will be called the largest maximal matching, and its number will be called the matching number. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now we will discuss complete matching in the context of bipartite graphs. Okay. Okay. For example, I have a bipartite graph like this. Okay, suppose this is a bipartite graph. It contains two vertices x, v1 and v2, and suppose the edges are like this one. Okay. Suppose these are my edges like this. Okay. A maximal matching, a complete matching is a matching in which my complete matching from v1 into v2. Okay, so this order is important. A complete matching from v1 into v2, okay, is a set of edges in which every vertex v1 and v2 have become adjacent. For example, if I am taking this edge and this edge here, you can see that both the vertices of this v1 and v2, for example, not vertices of both v1, just v1. So suppose this is the vertex 1 here, vertex v2 here. So both of these vertices are present in this matching. Okay, both of these vertices are endpoints of some edges in the matching. Okay, so every edge is in other words, I can say that in a complete matching, every edge is incident with every vertex in V1. Okay, so such a matching is called a complete matching. Okay, remember this matching is defined with respect to V1. Okay, so a complete matching from V1 into V2 is a set of edges, is a basically a collection of edges which is incident with every vertex of this V1. Okay, so a collection of edges or a subset of edges which is incident with every vertex of V1 is called a complete matching from V1 into V2. Okay, so you have to be careful here because these edges need not be incident with every vertex of V2. We are not talking about complete matching of V2 into V1. We are talking of fully complete matching of V1 into V2. Okay, so every edge in that matching should be adjacent with some vertex of not every edge, one edge. Okay, so that means every vertex should be adjacent to some edge in that matching. Okay, so every vertex in the V1 should be adjacent to some edge in that matching. Okay, so the only for V1 this will apply, this will not apply for V2, so it is not necessary that. So you can, if you look at this graph, you can see that this vertex is not adjacent to any edges in the matching. Okay, my matching edges are, I have marked it with this double dash here. So basically this edge vertex is not adjacent to those edges, so it is not necessary. We are only talking about complete matching from V1 into V2. When you talk of complete matching from V2 into V1, in that case you should have all the vertices in the V2 should have at least one edge incident with the matching. Okay, so that is the meaning of a complete matching. Okay, so one other example. So you remember this thing, it is not necessary for the all the vertices in V2 to be adjacent to the matching. Okay, that is the idea. Okay, for example, this is another example. So in this case actually everything is there, but it is, so here is an example of a complete matching, but this is not necessary that this complete matching which is being marked in red should be adjacent to all the vertices in the V2. Okay, it should be adjacent to all the vertices in V1 only. Okay, so that is the case here. So I hope it is clear what do you mean by complete matching. Okay, so one edge should be in, so every vertex in V1 should be present, so it should be an endpoint of some edges in the matching. That is the meaning of complete. So that means V1 has been completely matched, or all the people in V1 has been completely assigned. That's the meaning of, for example, there are some jobs like this. Okay, some jobs are there like this. So for example, this is jobs are there. So 6 jobs are there, 5 people are there. Now already 5 people had got jobs. That means all the people in this set has been assigned. They have been given jobs completely. That is the meaning of complete matching. Okay. So similarly, if all jobs have been distributed, we'll say that the complete matching from jobs into people has been done. Okay. So it is another idea of complete matching. Okay. Similarly, so first of all, the basic idea for a complete matching is that, so what should be the basic idea for a complete matching? Suppose there are some people in V1 and some jobs are there in V2. Okay, so for a complete matching, all from V1 into V2, okay, all people in V1 should be getting jobs. All people in V1 should be getting jobs. That's the idea. So that means there should be at least as many jobs as the number of people. Only then every people will be getting jobs. Okay, so at least there should be as many vertices as there in V1. So V2 should have as many vertices as the V1. Only then we can match them. Okay, so that's one idea. Okay, so first we must have at least as many vertices in V2 as there in V1, because only then we can assign different jobs to this people in V1. Okay, that's one idea. Okay, even that is not sufficient, but the basic idea is this. So I can't define a complete match. I cannot exhibit a complete matching from between these two of them. I can't exhibit a complete matching here, because here the number of people is 3, but you are getting the jobs as number is just 2. So for a complete matching to exist, there should be as many vertices in V2 as in V1. Okay, even that condition is actually not sufficient. For example, if you look at this example here, so you can see that this first set has actually 4 vertices are there, and this set has actually 6 vertices are there. So can you define a complete matching from V1 into V2? Can you define a complete matching from V1 into V2? One condition is already satisfied, because they have V2 has many more vertices than V1. So I think maybe we could give an assignment there, but still there is an issue here. Okay, so if we look closely in this graph, you can see that this A1 is being matched to 2 of them. What is it? It is being matched to P2 and P5. And this A2 is again being matched to this P2 and P5. And similarly, A3 is being matched to many vertices, no issues there. A4 is also again being matched to only P2 and P5. So you can see this A1, A2 and A5 are being assigned to only P2, P5. So when you give A1 an assignment to P1, P2 or P5, you have only 2 options for A1. Again, you have only 2 options for A2, and you have only 2 options for A5, and all those options are just the same. So these 3 different people could not be assigned completely, because if you give A1 P2, if you are giving A2 P5, you can't give anything to A5. So in those situations, a complete matching is not possible. Okay, so that means that comes to us to the next condition here. So for a complete matching to exist, you should know that every subset of R vertices in V1 must be collectively adjacent to at least R vertices. For example, in this case, we had a subset of 3 vertices, but they were collectively adjacent to only 2 vertices. So in that case, complete matching is not possible. So every subset of R vertices must be collectively adjacent to at least 3 vertices here. Okay, only then you can give a complete matching. So every subset of R vertices must be collectively adjacent to at least R vertices in V2, and that is true for any subset. For example, a subset of 1 vertex, it is obviously true. A subset of 2 vertex, a subset of 3 vertex. So if you are taking a collection of 4 vertices, they should be adjacent to at least 4 vertices collectively. Otherwise, you can't give different assignments to them. Okay, so that is another observation we could make. Okay, so every subset of R vertices in V1 must be collectively be adjacent to at least R vertices in V2. Okay, now actually it's an if and only if condition. This is a statement for that. So a complete matching in V1 into V2 is a bipartite graph exists if and only if every subset of R vertices in V1 is collectively adjacent to R vertices or R or more vertices in V2. Okay, I hope you get the logic of that, because so if you, as you see in this example, if these 3 vertices were actually these 3 vertices A1, A2 and A4 were only actually collectively adjacent to just this P2 and P5. Okay, so just this P2 and P5, and hence we couldn't find a complete matching giving assignment to any of them. So they should have been collectively adjacent to at least 3. Only then you can give a complete matching. Okay, and now this is statement says that it's actually a if and only if condition. The proof is not required, but try to understand the meaning of the proof here. Okay, now using this result, we will prove another interesting result, that is, in a bipartite graph, A complete matching of v1 into v2 exists if there is a positive integer m for which the following condition is satisfied. That is, degree of every vertex in v1. Okay, so degree of every vertex in v1 is greater or equal to m, and which is greater or equal to degree of every vertex in v2. Okay, we will see an example of that later, but let us try to prove it now. Okay, now so for example, suppose we are taking an R subset of this. So for that I will be using the previous result. So I will take an R element subset of this V1, and I will show that this R element subset is actually collectively adjacent to at least R number of vertices in V2. Okay, so using the earlier condition we could easily prove. So I will just take a subset of R subset of vertices in V1 here. Okay, now I am taking R vertices in V1, and you know that the degree of this R, this is a bipartite graph, and the degree of this R vertices, so it's a bipartite graph. That means actually each vertex would be adjacent to a vertex in V2 only and not a vertex of V1. So everywhere edges are coming from V1 into V2 only. Okay, and now the degree of each vertex in V1 is actually greater or equal to m. So this R vertices would be now be adjacent to R into m vertices outside. So it has R into m edges coming out. Okay, so this R vertices would have R into m adjacent, R into m vertices edges coming out of V1 which are reaching this V2. Okay, so first of all you took R vertices. Now each vertex has degree m, so you have Rm edges coming out of our V1 and reaching V2. Okay, now how many different vertices could be there for these Rm vertices in V2? Okay, you know that in V2, for example, in V2 the maximum possible degree is m. Okay, so in V2 the maximum possible, sometimes V2 may contain only two, the maximum, sometimes a vertex of V2 can have degree 1, sometimes it can have degree 2, but the maximum possible is only m. Okay, so that means these Rm edges could be distributed among at least, so if I divide it by the maximum degree, these Rm vertices, Rm edges would be divided or distributed among at least Rm by m vertices in V2. Okay, I hope you understand that. Okay, for example, suppose each of the vertices in V2 has degree 2. Okay, and you suppose your m is this 10 there. Okay, so for example, each of these vertices have degree 2 and your m is just 10. Now these Rm edges would have to be distributed among Rm by 2 vertices. Okay, because each of the vertices have maximum has degree 2, so these Rm edges could be distributed among Rm by 2 vertices. Okay, now tell me, is Rm by 2 or bigger, or is Rm by 10 bigger? Okay, you know that Rm by 2 would be bigger. Okay, so that means out of these Rm edges would be adjacent, would be incident on at least Rm by m vertices. Okay, because m is the maximum degree, so at least there should be Rm by vertices to receive the Rm edges which are coming out of this V1. Okay, or at least there should be R vertices in V2 to receive these Rm edges coming out of the V1. Okay, that means you have these R edges in V1 are actually collectively adjacent to R vertices, at least R vertices in V2, and that means there exists a complete matching. Okay, so that is the idea, very simple idea. If you understand the previous result, it is simple logic. Okay, just try to read out the proof. Okay, so that's it. So okay, so this is an example of that. For example, if you look at this graph here, you can see that this V1 has, every vertex of this V1 has degree 2, and every vertex of this V2 has degree 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it is basically 2 is greater or equal to 2, it's again greater or equal to 2. So this m is both actually equal to 2, and therefore there will exist a complete matching. You can give a complete matching here. How will you give? Maybe you can assign it here, C1 to this one. Maybe you could assign C2 to S3, and maybe you could assign C3 to this S5. Okay, so a complete matching is there. You just take those three edges. Complete matching from V1 into V2 is possible. Okay, I am actually completely mapping V1 vertices into V2. Okay, and the previous example, if you look again, you can see that in this case also this property will be violated, because you can see that maximum degree here is actually 2, here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. So maximum degree, so basically degree of every vertex is actually greater or equal to 2 in the first case here. Okay, and in the second case you have the maximum degree is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. So basically here you have a maximum degree of 4. So therefore we can't say that degree of V1 is greater or equal to some m greater or equal to degree of V2, because V2 has a vertex of higher degree there. Okay, so in this case there was no complete matching because it had violated that result. Okay, so I hope the matching part is clear to you. Okay, now we'll move on to coverings. So what are coverings? So I hope it is clear. Matching, it is basically used for assignment problems. Now coverings is basically here covering is particularly you are going to cover all the vertices. Basically it's a set of edges which is incident on all the vertices of the graph. Okay, this is analogous to complete matching, but complete matching all the edges were incident on only V1 only, and also the edges were not adjacent there. Okay, but here edges could be adjacent also, but it will be touching all the vertices. Okay, so a collection of edges which touches or which is incident on all the vertices is called a covering. Very simple idea. In matching, it was a collection of edges which were not adjacent. Okay, here the edges could also be adjacent. Okay, so in covering the edges could be adjacent. In matchings the edges cannot be adjacent. The property of covering is that the edges should touch all the vertices. That's the only idea. So definitely if you take all the edges, it would be a covering. Okay, so a set of edges is set to cover of G if every vertex in G is incident to at least one edge in G. Okay, so if you take a graph, if you take all the edges, it would be a covering. Okay, for example, if I'm taking this graph here, okay, so if I'm just taking these two edges, it will be a covering because it is touching all the vertices. If I am taking all the edges, again that will be a covering because it is touching all the vertices. Or if I am taking three edges here, it will also be a covering because again it is touching all the vertices. Okay, so a graph can have many coverings. Okay, so basically we are interested in what can I say? Will it be a maximal covering or a minimum covering? Which will be interested? Definitely the entire graph is a covering, so it is not of much value. So what we'll be interested is actually we'll be interested in the minimal covering. It is which contains minimum number of edges, right? Or minimum covering. Okay, a covering which contains the minimum number of edges. Or minimal covering means if you delete one edge from the covering, it will not cover the graph. Okay, so a minimal covering is a covering in which deletion of an edge will remove the covering property. If you just delete one edge from that minimal covering, that means it will no longer cover the graph. Okay, it will no longer cover all the vertices. So such a covering is called a minimal covering. Okay, so I hope these concepts are clear. So be careful about maximal, minimal and everything. All these words are self-explanatory, but you have to convince yourself. On every topic you can see this maximal, minimal and all covering. So be careful. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Minimal covering. Okay, and I can also talk of some more coverings. A spanning tree. Okay, the edges in a spanning tree is actually covering, right? Because a spanning tree contains all the vertices. Or if you consider the Hamiltonian circuit or Hamiltonian path which you have studied, okay, it contains all the vertices exactly once. So they are all coverings. Okay, so Hamiltonian circuit is a cover, path is a cover. Okay, so these are some examples of coverings. You can see that this. So you can see that their adjacency is not an issue in coverings because these two edges are adjacent here. Adjacency is not an issue in covering. It is an issue in matching. Okay, so be careful of that. Okay, so as I told you, if you consider all the edges, it will be covering. So a general covering is of no interest. So a special interest is a minimal covering, a covering in which no edge can be removed without destroying its ability to cover the graph. Okay, we have already discussed this concept now. Okay, and here are examples of some minimal covering here. Okay, so basically same graph, it has been used. Two different minimal coverings are being used here. Using the dark line, I'll just mark if it's not clear for you. This is there, this one 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 is there. Okay, so you can see that all the vertices have been covered here. Every vertex has been accounted. So this is a minimal covering. This is a minimal covering because if you just delete one edge from this covering, it will actually not cover all the vertices. Suppose if I am deleting this edge, this will not be present again. If I am deleting this edge, again this will not be accounted for. So that's the idea. So it's a minimal covering. And in this case, you can see that this one, this one, this one, okay, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so it has actually, here it had 3, 6 edges were there. Here you have 3, 6, 8 edges are there. Okay, so this minimal covering can have numbers of the minimal covering would be, the number of edges in the minimal covering could be different. Okay, so these are this. Okay, so again, the minimum number of edges in a minimal covering would be called the covering number. That's also is there. We'll come to that now, but I hope it is clear. Okay, so some more observations. A covering exists for a graph if and only if the graph has no isolated vertex. It's a very simple thing, because you know that if my graph has an isolated vertex, I can't cover this vertex no matter whichever edges I choose, because there is no edges connecting the graph to this isolated vertex. So if there is an isolated vertex, there will not be any minimal cover. There will not be any cover itself. Okay, and similarly, covering of an n vertex graph will have at least n by 2. So basically, greatest integer or least integer greater or equal to this n by 2 edges. Okay, why is it so? Because every edge would cover only 2 vertices. So if there are 11 vertices, you would need how many? 11 by 2, that is actually 5 points. So basically you need 6 edges, because 5 edges could cover only 10 vertices. So at least you will require 6 edges here. Okay, so it is greatest integer greater than this n by 2, greater or equal to n by 2. Okay, if there are 20 edges, you need at least 20 vertices, you will need at least 10 edges would be required. Okay, so that's the idea there. Moving forward, every pendant edge in a graph is included in every covering of a graph. That is also very obvious here, because you know that if there is a pendant edge like this, so in order to cover this vertex anyway, you should take this edge in every covering. Only then you could actually cover this vertex. So that means every pendant edge would be present in a covering. Okay, and also every covering can have a minimal covering. You just delete the covering edges which are extra. If there are no edges which are extra, it will be minimal covering. If there are some edges which are extra, which could be actually deleted without disturbing the covering property of the covering, it will all be a minimal covering. So always you can construct a minimal covering from a given covering. Okay, so that's one idea. Okay, this is another simple observation here. Okay, so if you have a graph G, and suppose you have a cover G. Okay, now if you delete all the edges in the covering, what will happen? If you delete all the edges in the covering, what will happen? That means this covering actually touches all the vertices, right? Okay, so that means if I delete all the edges in the covering, the degree of every vertex should at least reduced by 1. Right, because the edges in the covering touches all the is incident on all the vertices. Okay, so that means it contributes 1 to the vertex of each vertex. It contributes 1 to each vertex, 1 degree to each vertex. So when I delete the covering, what happens is that the degree of all the vertices would be reduced at least by 1, would be reduced by at least 1. Okay, it can also be reduced by more than 1, because if there are 2 edges having the two, suppose this is a graph here. Suppose this is a graph here. Suppose my covering consists of this vertex and this vertex also, this edge and this edge also. So when I delete those 2 edges, the degree of this vertex will be reduced by 2. Okay, so more than 2 also it can be reduced, but anyway at least 1 degree would be reduced from the degree of each vertex if you are deleting the cover. Okay, so that is why degree of each vertex in G minus G will always be less than or equal to degree of vertex V in G minus 1. Okay, it's a basic idea if you know the concept of covering. Okay, so that's it. And similarly, one more simple observation is that no minimal covering can have a circuit, because if you have a circuit, you can delete one edge from the circuit without disturbing this. For example, if you have a circuit like this, suppose this circuit is there in the covering. If I delete this edge also, this covering property will not be disturbed. Okay, so that means a minimal covering which contains the minimum possible number of edges cannot contain a circuit. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, and moving forward, so as I told you, a graph can have minimal coverings, and some minimal covering will have the smallest number. Such number is called the covering number. Okay, so number of edges in a minimal covering of the smallest size is called the covering number. Okay, what was matching number? The number of edges in the largest maximal matching is called the covering. Is called the matching number. Here it is the smallest number of edges in the smallest minimal covering is called a covering number. Okay, these two are simple. They can ask you define covering number, define matching number. So don't be confused. Think of the ideas for everything. Just think of the definition and some example and try to define accordingly. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Then will stop this discussion with a simple theorem. A covering G of a graph is a minimal if and only if G contains no paths of length 3 or more. Okay, so suppose this G contains a path of length 3 or more, for example. So it's very simple. I think it is a covering G of a graph is minimal if and only if G contains no paths of length 3 or more. Okay, Suppose a covering G contains a path. So basically covering is a collection of edges. Suppose it contains a path of length 3. For example, it may contain V1, E1, V2, E2, V3, E3, V4. Okay, so they are actually connecting like this. For example, I'll draw it for you. V1, V2, V3, V4, E1, E2, E3. Okay, so my covering actually contains these three edges, E1, E2, E3. Suppose it contains a path of length 3, it will be like this. Okay, now if you look at this, if I delete this edge, E2, what will happen? My covering would be left with E1, E3 only. Okay, my covering will be left with E1 and E3, but will it disturb the covering property? It will not disturb the covering property, because with E1 you can actually mark V1 and V2, with E3 you can mark V3 and V4. So this actually E2 is actually an extra one, so E2 is not required. Okay, so when if there are paths of length 3, definitely the covering will not be a minimum one, because you can actually eliminate one extra edge there. That's the idea. Okay, and similarly, that's one thing. So conversely, suppose if a covering of G does not contain a path of length 3 or more, how will the edges in that covering be? Once it will be like this only. Okay, all three possibilities are one. Sometimes it will be a single edge there without any other thing. Sometimes the covering may contain the single edge, or the covering may contain two edges like this. Okay, so it may contain two edges. That is also possible, but three edges is not possible, because if there are three edges, it will not be minimum covering. Okay, so suppose we are going to prove that suppose a covering G contains no path of length 3 or more. So this is a possibility, sir. One other possibility is that it also can contain vertices like this. Okay, so these types can also happen there. These types. So here also, if I delete this edge, the covering property will be disturbed. If it delete this edge, again the covering property will be disturbed. If I delete this edge again, the covering property will be disturbed. So these type of edges can be there. Again, one more edge I will show. These types could also be there. Only that's the maximum possible. So these types also could be there. Okay. Again, if I draw, I will be getting a path of length 3. Again, if I draw an edge, I will be getting a path of length 3. Okay. So this is the maximum possible now. Okay. So these types also could be there. Okay. So these types of graphs are called star graphs. Okay. These types of so only these four are the only possibilities. No more is possible. Again, if I add edge here, I will be getting a path of length 3. Path of length 3 is not possible. Again, if I add edge here, again you will be getting a path of length. If I add an edge anywhere, you will be getting a path of length 3. Okay, so that's the idea here. Okay, so if I add an edge here, that is same as this one only. If I add an edge here, it is same as this one only. Okay, it's the same idea here. Okay, so so these are the possible ways of getting coverings, so in which there are no paths of length 3 or more. So my path, if my covering contains no paths of length 3 or more, my covering would contain edges which does not contain any more adjacent edges, or it may be contain paths like this, it may contain paths like this, or it may contain paths like this. Okay, for example, if I look at this graph here, I am just taking the covering as this 2, my covering contains only edges of this one. Okay, or if suppose my graph is like this, if I am taking my covering as this. Okay, so you can see that this covering contains edges of this form as well as this form. So that is the idea. Okay, so anyway you will be getting star graphs. Okay, and the property of star graphs is that if it is like this, if you delete one edge from the star graph, what will happen? Definitely the covering property will be disturbed. If I delete this edge, the covering property will be disturbed. If I delete this edge, the covering property will be disturbed. If I delete this edge again, the covering property will be disturbed. If I delete this one also, again the cover. So if I delete any edge from the star graph, the covering property will be disturbed. Okay, so if my collection of edges does not contain a path of length 3 or more, okay, so then it will be a minimal covering. Okay, so that is the case. So no grids can be removed without leaving context unguarded. That means it should be a minimal covering. Okay, so that's it. So I hope it is clear. So this is matchings and coverings. Okay.